May 11th, Parks Advisory Board meeting to order. Roll call.
Aaron's.
Here.
Gillespie.
Here.
Michelson.
Here.
Miller. Rule. Here. Schuessler. Here. Wilson. Wohler.
Here. Approval of the February 9th meeting minutes.
Is he televising?
Yes. You went like that. Any additions, corrections?
Good.
I'll motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Are there any citizen statements? Anything on the agenda? I believe you would like to talk on the sailing.
Yes, it's on the agenda.
Yep.
That's fine.
I'll kick it off.
He'll kick it off, and then you can go.
Yeah. In your agenda packet, you should have received the information regarding the Oshkosh Community Sailing Program, otherwise known as the International Youth Sailing of Oshkosh Limited. This program is coordinated by Mr. Steve Eliason, and Steve will be giving you a little background onto the program, but it's been in existence since 2009. We've worked with Mr. Eliason and his volunteer staff, as well as the school district and the recreation department, to provide sailing lessons and opportunities for youth in the area. The program has grown tremendously over the past few years, and in order to keep up with that growth, they've had to expand their watercraft inventory. And at the same time, we've seen a decrease in the use in our on-land, the catamaran storage and sailboat area at Miller's Bay. So the sailing program is requesting to utilize some of those unused storage areas on the catamaran storage or on-land storage. But what they're looking for, because it is a community program, to have a discounted price. Typically, we would be charging $100 for the season for a resident. So what we would be doing is recommending that the community sailing group be offered a 50% reduction per space for the year. In addition, we've worked with the program in the past. A couple of weeks during the school year, they'll utilize kayaks and canoes for their program. And this has been a long-standing agreement, but we'd like to get it formalized by the board that the sailing group be allowed to use that equipment at a charge of $5 per day. So those are the two items before you tonight that we're looking for your approval on. But I thought it'd be good if Steve would give a little background on the program and let us know how it's grown over the last couple of years. So.
Great, thank you, Ray. I'm going to pass around a couple of posters over the recent years from our school sailing program. Kind of a random collection of things here. One from our winter activities we initiated this past season. So yeah, I'll be very quick. But as Ray had mentioned, we've been in existence since.
State your name and address.
Thank you. Steve Eliason, 1528 Grove Street, here in Oshkosh. But we've been in existence since 2009. We started basically with one charter school here in town, the Alps Charter School at Merrill. And the idea was to bring sailing and sort of the science inherent in sailing to that charter school. After a couple of years of working with the Alps program, the idea came to me, I guess, that what if we did a whole week, 5 days of 60 kids per day learning to sail, and that was 300. So our Sail Week effort is born, and we just sort of kept growing from there. Last fall of 14, working, I'm also, by the way, a school board member, but working closely with the school district over these years, we're now at the point where, as a matter of course, every fifth grader has exposure to the sailing and water sports program in the fall. That doesn't mean that literally every fifth grader goes, but the idea is that it's district-wide and it's not sort of a patchwork. So our goal really is to expose as many residents, mostly youth, although adults and any person is really welcome to join in with us, but we're really targeting youth in the community, that any kid can try out sailing or stand-up paddleboards or kayaking. As Ray mentioned, we do a lot through the rec program, Christine Ann Center, Boys and Girls Clubs of Appleton, Oshkosh, and Sheboygan. We have kind of come to this point now where we have 3 bases of operation. We're headquartered, founded in Oshkosh. Most of our work is here in Oshkosh, but we also run significant programming in Sheboygan County, Elkhart Lake and the Sheboygan waterfront, as well as the west shore of Green Bay around Oconto. And as Ray had mentioned also, we've grown tremendously. Last year we had 2,300 people through the program. We're the largest school sailing and maybe the largest raw headcount sailing program in the country. So as you can imagine, and we've had great donations and great volunteers and great everything along the way, but we've got a lot of boats. And people always ask, how do you manage this? And we've had great success in working with Ray and Chad and Jenny and Trish and really everybody on the city side and the park side. But what we are requesting now, so that, because the first thing a donor will ask is, okay, where does all this stuff live? How do you manage all this stuff? If we could have some kind of medium-term agreement with the city where a donor can know, okay, that boats have a home and you've got a good working relationship with the city, that certainly helps our cause with donors. So the request for a discounted space is simply that it seems like there is space available. If a 501c3, such as ourselves, working with generally school districts or other not-for-profits, can do a bulk purchase discount of space, it's a tremendous help. And that's really the plea before you here today, if we could strike some kind of arrangement to that effect. And being able to use discounted kayaks really helps the program as well, compared to paying full rental. So we're trying to keep the program going, get it sustainable, and be around for the long haul, serving the people of Oshkosh. And just a quick note, in the past winter, years ago, you might have seen in the newspaper or somewhere along the way, Dr. Eric's Skate Club. We started at Webster Stanley with an ice skating club for all the Webster Stanley kids. Last year, that grew to include about 1,000 kids trying out cross-country skiing, mostly on the school grounds, and about 600 trying ice skating, most of that single-day experience. But we've had some good community members kind of rally behind the cause to do all the sort of outdoor stuff for as many kids as we can. So, as you can imagine, I appreciate your approval on this proposal before you.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Any questions?
Make a motion to approve.
Second. Roll call?
Aaron's,
Yes.
Vogaleski,
Yes.
Michelson.
Aye.
Rule,
Yes.
Schuster,
Yes.
Wooler.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
If you don't mind, I'll collect my samples here.
Sure.
Yep. Take it with you.
Next is approval of marquee sign for Opera House Square.
Thanks, Terry. Again, in your packet, I provided a little background on what we're looking for. City staff has been working with the Downtown Business Improvement District on the design of a marquee sign. The bid came to us actually and asked for the possibility of having a marquee sign installed downtown, mainly to advertise downtown or bid-type events for downtown, and these would be community-wide, not private business-sponsor type events. So we started having that discussion. Said that we would agree to the potential site, which is on the southeast corner of the site of the Grand Opera House. In your packet, you should have some of the design proposals as well as the site. Essentially, looking at be directly, I guess, northwest of the clock, so that people at the intersection would be able to see if there's any events. As we started to look at the design of the marquee, we decided that instead of going with the wooden structures that we've got in some of our other parks, it'd be nice to match the downtown light poles, trash receptacles, and the same type of material down there. So the bid went out to Joan Sign, had a design drawn up, and that's what is in front of you. If you take a look at the front side, it gives you an idea what they'd be looking at for some interchangeable lettering. And then on the back side, they had two options that we had discussed. One being having the backside where they can put another message on so that people that are at an event at Grand Opera House, you can put another event on there saying, don't forget about Waterfest this Thursday or whatever. But their preference is the one to the left, where they would have something similar to that saying, thank you for visiting Opera House Square, with a sign or a photo embedded right into the back of the sign is the preference of the bid. And we do support that. We would work with them to finalize the back side of the sign. But what we would do is work closely with, Cassie's currently the downtown bid manager, and she and I would work closely on the events that would be posted down there. If there's not a downtown event going on, then it would be a parks type event that would be posted on there, similar to the zoo opening or some of the other events that we put out. And if we don't have anything going on, then we look at the community. If there's a potentially something going on at South Park, the car show or something else that might be going on that's a special group sponsoring the event, that would be kind of the priority. What Cassie and I would do is sit down and work on an agreement stating this is how we're going to decide what's going on the sign. Cassie and her staff from the downtown bid would be responsible for getting the verbiage up there. One thing I did like about the proposal too is it does give the name Opera House Square. At least people now know what Opera House Square or where it's located. Right now there's no sign, and people coming from out of town would at least know where it's at. The bid is proposing to pay for the entire sign install and everything. They've already been working with Bill and Chad in our electrical division on the location, but possibly doing some plantings, some flower plantings, or some landscaping enhancements around the sign as well that the bid would take care of installing as well. So it'd be a complete donation of material and installation by the bid. So, again, we would not allow private businesses. Joe's Smokehouse would not be able to say sale at the store this week or anything, or specials at any private businesses, just like our other park marquee signs. It would be all community-related type events. So we are in support of the marquee sign, and that's what we would recommend to the board.
Question,
Yes.
were there some local sign companies that bid on this sign also?
I don't know if they went to some of the local individuals or not. I can't speak for what the bid, how they decided who to go through.
Any other concerns, questions?
What is the sign gonna have, like in that upper right-hand corner where it says Opera House Square on top and Downtown Business Improvement District? Is that what it's gonna look like?
That is what is being proposed, yes.
Okay, all right.
I think when last talk with Cassie was, I believe they were going to make Opera House Square, that verbiage a little bit bigger so that people would know it's the destination or the Opera House Square site, is
Okay.
what I recollect.
I think it's a great idea. Sign looks really nice.
We have checked with our zoning and our planning division as well. There are no regulations or any special permitting that needs to take place, so they have already said that they would approve of the location and so forth, so.
Ray, can you find out if, who all got permission to put bids in for this? I'm in favor of it, don't get me wrong, but what I'm in favor of is getting local sign companies to do work in the city, not going outside the city.
Yeah, and as I said, I don't know if they have a working relationship with Jones Sign on some other signs. I believe there are some other signs being looked at throughout the city for some areas that Jones Sign has been working on, so that might have been the connection. So, yeah, again, I can't speak for who they checked with or what the connection is with Jones Sign.
Get that information for us?
I can, but I'm wondering if it's going to delay the install because they were hoping to get this delayed. So for next month, I can report to you if they
Yeah, I
checked
just
with
want
it.
to know
Yeah, I'd like to
if
know.
we've
For
done.
future.
Sure.
Right, for future, you know.
Yep, we can check into it.
Thank you.
Any other concerns, questions? Otherwise, we can
I
entertain a
don't know,
motion.
maybe I missed it. Who's paying for this now?
Bid,
Good.
Oh, okay.
all of it.
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second.
Aaron's,
Yes,
Gillespie,
Yes.
Michelson.
Aye.
Rule,
Yes.
Schuler, and Wooler.
Yes. Okay, establishment of ordinance prohibiting fishing from boat docks at city-owned boat launches. Okay,
This is, I'm going to kick off the discussion, but if any of our staff members can answer any questions from Jenny to Chad and Trish answering the phone calls that we've been getting. This has been a growing issue at a number of our boat launches where individuals are fishing off the docks that are meant to be for the boat docks, obviously. We have had at least weekly phone calls. Sometimes we get in on a Monday and there's a number of messages left on our line that there were almost confrontations, or there were confrontations between boaters and fishermen. I believe we shared an email with you from a resident who said that she actually has been hooked a couple of times by fishermen. It's primarily an issue from what we're seeing at the Steiger Park Boat Launch by the Senior Center. However, it does take place. We do see fishermen in other areas, and so what we're recommending is to be consistent and prohibit fishing from the boat docks, and this would be strictly the docks at the boat launch. Tie-off docks and so forth, they'd still be able to fish from. We would specify that it would be the boat docks that fishermen would not be able to fish through or fish from. Again, what we'd like to do is be consistent and have it for all the boat docks that are city-owned. I don't know if there's any questions at all, but I know Trish can speak to this summer, or this spring has been really bad. I think on a Monday we got in, we had messages on the machine, and then by 11 o'clock we had about 3 other phone calls saying something's got to be done. I'm down here trying to launch now, and these guys won't move, and it just gets to be arguing and confrontational. So
who's going to enforce that?
it would be the police department would be enforcing. Once we put the ordinance together, there's some areas in the boat launch ordinance where our staff are able to do some enforcement. I'm going to be looking at that with the city attorney and see which portions of that we would be able to enforce as far as our rangers or other staff. But at this point, it would be the police department. I have already talked to Chief Groyle about this, and he is aware that we're looking at this ordinance. And in light of some of the things that have happened recently in the area, and he said if we can avoid some confrontations, let's be active about it. So at this point, I would say it'd be police, but in the future, if we'd have the authority to do that. But obviously, the biggest thing we want to do is get some signage up saying per ordinance, whatever it may be, no fishing allowed on these docks. And then instead of us getting the calls, they can call police, or we can call the police and say there's an issue.
Okay, so I know a lot of times our ordinances aren't enforced unless somebody calls about them, and it shouldn't be that way. If the police officer sees somebody violating an ordinance, it should be, stopped, ticketed, or whatever, or given a warning. I agree that we do need something to help the boat docks, to keep them clear. But if they're not going to enforce it.
I think the signs are going to just help.
Yeah, I think they will too.
The signs are going to take care of most of it. Once in a while they won't, but the bad part is, throughout the years when we built all these launches, it wasn't a problem. We didn't build them for fishing. We built them for launching. That's why I want to make sure that this is boat launch docks, not just boat docks, boat
Right.
launch docks. All the tie-up docks that we built, that's good for
Right.
fishing.
Right.
Everything else is good for fishing. But I think the signs itself is going to kind of take care of it, because then somebody, because it just comes down to, well, get out of my way. Well, I can fish here if I want. Well, no, you can't. The sign at least says, whether it does or not, I don't know. You might have to give somebody a couple warnings, but I think the signage will take care of most of it.
Tiger is a real issue too. If I'm sure you guys are familiar with that launch, but that curve right before the boat launches is no parking, posted sign, no parking. But that's where they all park. They park on that curve, right under the no parking sign, and then when the bus comes around, they can't fit around that loop where the bus stop is. I've been out training some new boat rangers and things this spring, and it's a big issue at Steiger. Not only do they fish right off the docks when people are trying to launch, but they park right where you can't park for the buses to come around. So it's been a real issue down there.
Maybe we'll have to have a few more calls from you
Yeah, so.
or the Rangers, so they know.
And the Rangers, that day when I was there, training the new, we went over and talked to the guys that you can't park here. This is your warning. You need to move. You can't park there. For one, it's posted no parking, and for two, the bus can't swing that circle with you parked there. And they were receptive to it, and got up and moved their vehicles. Like you said, it would take education by the Rangers, just letting people know, and then if there was an issue, if the Rangers could enforce it, otherwise, having the police get involved. But it is certainly an issue this year with that. So.
Yes.
Yeah, like at Steiger, there's a fishing dock right next to that. So it's not like you're taking fishing away. There's
a nice fishing.
There's a really nice fishing dock. Menominee has like a dock and all kinds of tie-up docks. Up at Rainbow, there's all kinds of fishing areas. So I just don't see this as a hardship.
No.
And I think it's reasonable. And I do see people, I ride my bike through that area a lot, and I'll see people out there also from time to time. And you have the nice fishing dock right next to it, so.
Well, I think it comes down to, it's just a matter of, how do you put it, a few bad apples? Because I think people that used to fish on it and that, if they see somebody launching, they reel it in, let them launch, then go back. But you're just getting a bunch of people now that don't think they have to move.
Right.
And that's what it comes down to, and I think the signs will take care of most of it, the majority of it.
I'll move to approve this, but I wanted the motion to say boat launch docks.
A second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Roll?
Aaron's,
Yes.
Kukleski,
Yes.
Michelson,
Aye.
Rule,
Yes.
Schuessler,
Yes.
and Wooler.
Yes. All right. There's no other citizens. Director's report.
I'll be brief, because I think staff members have got quite a bit on their list that they're going to report to, because it's obviously getting into our very busy season. But I think the big item I want the board to be aware of is the inclusive playground, if you haven't gone past South Park, is probably about 3/4 away constructed. I believe this week, weather dependent, they'll start pouring the rubber surfacing. So if you want to see that process going on, stop down there sometime this week when you see the contractors in working. You'll be able to see how that's installed and coming together. The committee, the Inclusive Playground Committee, has already set a grand opening celebration. I'll send a flyer when they have it ready, but if you want to mark your calendars for Friday, June 5th, from 5 until 8 p.m. at South Park. They're looking at having a ribbon cutting. They've got some entertainment lined up and some food, and some speakers to come in before the official ribbon cutting. So as soon as they have the flyer finalized, I'll make sure and email that out. But I wanted to let you and the public aware that, again, it's Friday, June 5th from 5 until 8 p.m. on site at South Park. So that's exciting news. The group has been keeping a close eye on it, and they're busy planning the activities, and are currently selling pickets. There's still another phase to the project that once they raise all the money for all the pickets to surround the playground, then we'll work with them to install that, but they've got a ways to go to sell all of those. The next item is Stevens Park restroom facility. They excavated the site today, so that project is underway. And I believe by the end of summer, Chad, if I'm correct, August sometime is the completion date. So you'll see that going up throughout the summer as you're going through. And then the final item that we've been working on is the 5-year capital improvement program. We'll have that on the agenda for next month. We've taken a look at the last year's plan, and obviously we had some projects that we had requested for 2015 that got shuffled back. So typically what we'll do is we'll keep those as the higher priority for 2016, and then we'll do a little shuffling of projects back and forth. But I think it's going to remain pretty consistent from what we've seen last year. But the council is looking for the CIP to be prepared and submitted a little bit earlier this year, so we'll be working on that. The other item too that Jim Michelson reminded me is we want to, I'll work with the city attorney to come up with some ideas for the no parking up at Menominee Park, up by Diamond number 8. We left that kind of on the side burner for a while, but I think now that summer's here, we need to bring that back up, and we'll probably have that on the agenda for next month as well. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Chad?
I think just to include some of the project things working on, in addition to what Ray was talking about, the 24th Street boat launch restroom is, design plans are due next week for the ADA upgrades for that facility, so that'll be shut down here most of summer. We do have a portalet there to help with that service in the time being. And then also, over the course of the winter, applied for a grant for removing that pedestrian bridge down that connects the peninsula with the mainland, and that project can't take place till after October 15th is when our permit's available. We couldn't do any excavation down there until between March 15th and October 15th. So that'll be a great late fall project. And then the plan is to remove that old bridge and put in 3 culverts and have that pretty much paved and connected across that area. So that'll take place later in the year. Big plans we've been working on with Little Oshkosh and Play by Design, and with the Southwest Rotary Group to develop plans for some refurbishment, at least get a plan together for the long term with that facility. Staff have been working hard. We've replaced close to 300 feet of track down at the train prior to the season and updated our fences for secured zones around there, which take a lot of time, but it sure has improved some of the aesthetics along the area by the train. And we're working on a crack sealing and asphalt patching program with the Engineering Public Works Department going forward. And then also the Tech Miller Park paths, we're going to be developing a plan for the engineering up there for that project to take place this late summer, hopefully early fall. Operationally, I think if you've been around, everything's been up and going here between the boat launches, the buoy program, our restrooms, the zoo, amusements, athletic fields, concession stands, all those things are going. We've been going through doing some playground repairs and inspections to date. So it's just been a busy fall, busy spring, but been very productive. Our crew has been doing very well with things so far. So that's it for my report right now.
Thank you. Bill?
Yeah, we've also had a busy spring. You know, we had good weather early this year, so we got a lot of tree planting done. We were working with a contractor to plant a couple neighborhood associations. We filled in the Middle Village, and we also did some work up on the Millers Bay Neighborhood Association area. On April 18th, we worked with the Millers Bay Association and did a tree pruning workshop, which was well attended. Had a nice time out there, and then followed up with the tree planting, so you may have seen something in the paper here last week on that. On April 30th, we held our Arbor Day program, celebrated 34 years as Tree City USA. That program is televised on Cable 10 and available if you'd like to view it. You can go to the city website. It's available there as well. We've been working on the George Washington Monument project. The sidewalk is in. Currently working on some of the soil work on the east end of it. A lot of the electrical installation of conduit and some of the bollards has been installed, for bases, I should say, for the light fixtures. So we're moving along on that one pretty well. Got a little wet down there today, obviously, so things stalled a little bit due to the weather. The crew's also been busy working on the Rochland landscaping. We kind of went through and rehabbed some of that area. We had taken out a bunch of the shrubs that were in poor condition last fall, and went through and did some new planting and mulched the entire area this spring. We've got a variety of different landscape projects that we've been working on, some upgrades as well on. The cemetery lawn mowing has been humming along here already, so we've got plenty to do out there. We've got a good crew of folks who's working on that, so we're trying to make the big push here for Memorial Day and get that all ship-shape out there. Our crew has also been doing a lot of tree planting, mainly filling in requests for replanting after trees were removed, or resident requests for filling in certain neighborhood terrace properties. Much of our memorial tree installation is complete as well. I've got one more small order yet to go on that one here this spring, though. That's about it.
Thank you. Jenny?
Okay, well, I'm just going to go through a couple things from 2014. We just got actually all of our numbers back for year-end final numbers for last year, so just kind of going through the different areas. At the Leach Amphitheater, as we know, Waterfest backed off on a lot of the number of shows last year, so that, of course, decreased our revenue in there by, how many shows were they short? 4, 5?
I think.
About 5 shows short, and they usually $1,500 per night. So, but overall, for that facility, our revenue we brought in was $83,465, and our expenditures were $84,000. So we were just short on that. We did have a couple, our concert series last year, we brought in a total of 1,750 people. We got caught by bad weather almost every show, whether it was thundering or lightning or raining early in the day or rain during the show. So it's increasing each year. We do have that sponsorship in place again this year by Verve with the credit union. So that's all in place going into 2015. So we have a really good lineup. I'm sure you've seen it online or Facebook. We have it out, the lineup. So we're hoping for better weather this year for those Tuesday night concerts. We did have our first annual Touch a Truck last year at the Leach. We brought in $8,823 from that event, so that helped offset some of that money from Waterfest not being there. And we brought in about 2,500 people for that one-day event. So that was awesome. And I do have that sponsored again this year also going forward from Oshkosh Corp. So that'll be We pushed it back this year to August simply because July is absolutely crazy, and we really want police and fire to be involved in that event with all their equipment, and July with all the other events in Oshkosh, it really wasn't possible. So we pushed it back a little bit to August, hoping things will slow down a little bit and we can have all those people involved. So hoping for some better weather this year for our Tuesday nights, and Waterfest does have their schedule. Are they back up to normal shows? Are they down a little bit?
Down a little bit, but not.
Okay, not as bad.
Just about every Thursday.
Yeah, just about every Thursday, but not for weekends this year like last year.
So, I mean, overall, considering that change that we didn't really know about in the beginning, we did pretty good for that area. Our revenue facility area, that area, the total revenue was $247,850, and expenditures were $253,100. I'm sorry, vice versa. The revenue was $253,187, and the expenditures were $247,850. And that, usually we see that $65,000 from the Herrenbergs. That actually didn't go into our account in 2014, just with the timing on his stuff. That got deposited at the beginning of 2015. So typically that account would have had an extra $65,000 in it. But a pretty good year for that revenue. That includes all areas, the boat launch, the Children's Amusement Center, the zoo's gift shop, all special events. So the zoo this year had 110, or in 2014, had 110,535 visitors. So it was a phenomenal year for the zoo. And on top of that number, with our events there, an extra 3,594 people. So we saw almost 115,000 people come through the zoo last year, which is great for the little old zoo in Oshkosh, you know. So people do certainly enjoy coming there. For Zooloween last year in the fall, we had phenomenal numbers, sponsors, booths, you know, so that event keeps on growing and growing, along with our Snooze at the Zoo events and our Easter event. So we have a lot of fun events in the area that people like. And the last one for Pollock, the expenditures last year were $311,487. And the revenue was $330,486. Again, keep in mind we do still have the tax levy in there, but so a really good year at the pool also. We have about 6 special events at that facility, and actually moving into 2015, I was able to get a sponsor, Winnebago Community Credit Union, and they are sponsoring all the special events at the pool this summer. So that's great going forward. We already have all those special events covered, and they're going to be our main special event sponsor over there. So. Moving into 2015, we had a phenomenal opening weekend on May 2nd and 3rd. We brought in the most revenue in the 15 years I've been here. We've owned the train station area. It was crazy. It was great. The zoo had also the Lakefly Cafe had a record year, or a record day ever along the train station. So things are going well in those areas so far. And like Chad said, the boat launch program is up and going. It has been for a while. Our ball diamonds are now up and going as far as the last Sunday in April. So those have been going for a couple weeks now, and everything's kind of full speed. So it's going well so far this year.
Just as a question on the boat launch, what was the boat launch last year, and what's the total on that separate?
Yeah, last year, yep, so it was a good year. So 2014 revenue was $53,113.06.
Okay.
Prior years, 2013 was $40,817.
Hold it, Jenny.
Oh, I'm reading the wrong thing, my lord. Oh gosh, I'm sorry, way better. I was reading the music rides, I'm sorry. The boat launch was $86,000 last year, $86,150.29. And the previous year in 2013, it was $56,778.
Okay.
So it was, yeah, it was a great year for boat launch with the increase.
And what's that fund at right
Yeah,
now?
what is that fund at?
The total fund right now is $180,687.08.
Okay. And now that new rates are in effect this year, right?
Correct, moving forward, yep. And what I had just said before, that the rides this year, we also did that increase to $1.25 for the train and $1 instead of the 80 cents. So that did, the revenue this year on that was $53,113 versus $40,817 last year. So that quarter increase per ride really really helped a lot too. So we had a good year last year, kind of in all of our revenue facilities. So
Doing a good job?
and as far as the boat launch, if you guys hear things around, we've had a lot of kind of complaints this year with the boaters. You know, the city of Oshkosh, we don't have the senior citizen discount. We don't have the vet discount. Now the county's starting to do this. They're starting to do a vet discount. So we've been getting lots of calls about that. But we just stay, standard multi-year for 3 years or a seasonal one. Really work with our bait shops so people aren't confused, that they're looking for that discount, and we don't do that discount. So
Is that something we should look at?
I can speak for that. The gentleman that actually contacted the county, and he didn't show up at their last park board meeting out at the county, so I don't know if that's moving forward yet, so I'm kind of keeping an eye on what the county does. The same gentleman that contacted the county sent me a letter, and I talked to him, but I think it'd be good for us to remain consistent, so I think I was waiting to see what the county does at this point. But I do have a letter that, if it does come forward, we can share.
One guy?
Just one person that has contacted me, so.
Okay, any other questions, Jenny? All right, here's Mr. Dobish.
Sure. Well, golf course is open, as you all know. It opened March 15th, which is kind of early historically, but it's been kind of a roller coaster of good and bad weather since then. I'm happy to report, though, that the golf course, although somewhat desiccated early because of the dry turf conditions, is coming around nicely. This rain today certainly helped. And we've got the irrigation system up and running, and we found all its defects, so that takes most of my time. But that said, rounds are up through April compared to last year, up more than 1,400 over last year. Total revenue is up almost $26,000 over last year. Another good thing, with very minimal fee increases. It's about a 44% increase overall in revenue through April. Of that amount, concession revenue accounts for $6,700 of the total. And that was an increase of 5 times last April. About a $1,200 April last year and $6,700 this year. So, tremendous. We're not sure if it's just the minimal increases in tap beer and canned beer, but with the rounds up, the customers are just taking advantage of it, I guess. We're still pretty low priced as far as concessions go compared with other facilities like golf courses or bowling alleys, which are seasonal, captive audience. But so there's room to move if we can do that competitively. But concessions are helping them float the boat right now. Trace attributed some of the beer sales to the craft beer sales, and he bumped that price, I think. 50 cents a craft. He's going to have a rotating selection of craft beers. He also has a program whereby every group finishing their 9 holes or their 18-hole round has the ability to putt for beer or draft soda. So the longest putt on the final hole is eligible for a free drink on the golf course. And we've seen where this brings people into the clubhouse who wouldn't normally come in, and the other 2 or 3 people end up buying drinks too. So we end up turning a dime or a dollar where we normally didn't. I didn't know if it's going to work, but it seems to. Also, we had a hot dog roller purchased and donated to us, and that seems to have bumped the sales of hot dogs and uni dogs up. When you can see them and smell them, I guess it's just like a movie theater with popcorn. They want them. And surprisingly, people you wouldn't expect. I don't expect, because I've never seen them open their wallet. They're doing so now, and they seem to like the product, so I'm happy for that. I'll back up a little bit and get into some financials. But before that, the clubhouse HVAC system was completed in December. It's a tremendous upgrade to the clubhouse facility. I'd like to thank the city purchasing and electric divisions for helping us with that. Purchasing obviously got the contractor line. Electric had some support work to do in the clubhouse to make the system work. It's a tremendous upgrade to the facility. But on financials, we thought it was a very good year, where our expenses were 498,000 and change. The total revenues were almost 511,000. Sounds pretty good, but depreciation snuck in to the equation, and we ended up in the red. I hate to say that, but it was about $22,000 in the red after depreciation. But in operations, we were well over $14,000 ahead. So it's an accounting function, I understand, but, it is held against us. If there's any questions about the course or anything that I've mentioned here, feel free to ask.
It sounds like it's working.
Yeah.
Yes.
Steve, have you or Trace heard any rumblings about the greens out there at Lake Shore?
Well, that they were pretty hard, and, they're not anymore.
They're not anymore?
Well, the irrigation is up and running, and we've got 3/4 of an inch of rain.
As of 10 o'clock, they were still pretty hard.
We had only 1/10 of an inch of rain at 9 o'clock.
But I see you got fertilizer down.
Yeah, they've been fertilized, the whole course has been fertilized.
Okay, so that's good, and this rain will help, and hopefully.
But that was a function of didn't feel wise to throw fertilizer around until after the system was up and running.
Right.
Take advantage
You
of it.
gotta water it in. So, because last year the greens were excellent, and then this year so far.
It should be again.
Okay, good. It's good to hear.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
I had one last item. Byron, our Leadership Oshkosh adjunct board member, this is his last meeting with us. He'll be graduating the 28th of this month, correct? And I'll be there for that, so I'll see you that night. But wanted to thank you for participating, and hopefully you got a feel for not only serving on a board, but on a government entity board. A little different than some of the other experiences some of your classmates might have, so.
Yeah, and I appreciate you guys allowing me to sit in, and I know a few meetings got canceled, and I think I missed one or two in there also because of conflicts, but I appreciate the time allowing me to sit in here, and I guess I'd recommend you allow the next leadership class seat on the board also, if at all possible, so.
Bill Miller just lost a lot of weight.
Okay, anything else?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
The next time we meet.
Thirty?
So you're just about to graduate.